I'll do a little crowd work. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I was just working through some technical challenges. I don't know if you ever have this problem, but notifications. I just got a text from one of the teachers at my school that a student bit another student because they wouldn't close the computer. And for those of you who have ever worked at a school where a student bites a student, it's so you gotta be kidding me. Really? On a Friday afternoon, you gotta bite somebody on a Friday, right? Like Monday bites, I can deal with a Monday bite, but Friday. Anyhow, thank you for being here. I've turned off notifications. And welcome to our session about partnering with parents, building authentic connection and trust. My name is Pat Caenepeel. I'm the head of the middle school at Parker School, and this is my colleague Layla Schuster. She is our school counselor. I want to tell you a little bit about myself first, since I love talking about myself. This is my fourth year in the role as head of middle school, and prior to that, I was a middle school teacher at Parker School, and then prior to that, I was a public school elementary school teacher in San Francisco for 12 years. And so I've taught kindergarten to fifth, and now I've taught sixth up to eighth. And if that continues, sky's the limit, right? So basically, working in an elementary school classroom has taught me that all feelings matter, and you have to create space for them. And when conflict happens, as it does, you talk about it. That's the basics of working with little kids. So just curious here, how many elementary people? Okay, wherever your heart lives is also fine too. Where your heart lives. Okay, middle people. Okay, high school. Okay, special education, administration. I see you. All right, cool. What else? Specialists, support staff. Excellent. All right, counselors. Any counselors in the house? All right, cool. I see you. All right, appreciate it. So this is our school. This is Parker School. Anybody ever been to Waimea on the Big Island of Hawaii? Parker School is kind of in the smack dab middle of town. There's a farmer's market. You drive past it as you come through town. 3 years ago, I started my role as the head of the middle school. And it also so happened to be the first of a full-time counselor as well. So up to that point, we had a half-time counselor for 350 kids, and we realized that wasn't going to cut it. And so, working with middle schoolers, for those of you who have done this, there's some common themes every single year. Number one, they stop talking to their parents. Number two, their friends are the most important thing to them in the entire world, and yet somehow they have the worst advice they could possibly give. Number three, they're super in need of tools to navigate the complex social dynamics of middle school, and yet they are super, super reluctant to any sort of vulnerability and accepting these tools. And then the last one is that kids have technology and social media, and often it's for the first time, and they just go wild, and they have no tools for navigating that. I'm seeing some nodding heads. You probably have heard or seen something similar to that. And so we had this group of middle schoolers. It was a group of girls, and they were struggling with the social dynamic, as it happens. And so Layla and myself, we circled up, and we said, okay, what are we going to do? Well, obviously, we'll pull them all together in a room. We're going to talk about our feelings. We're going to figure it out. We're going to promote empathy. And so we called them in. The young ladies were more than happy to participate, and they all went home, and we're like, yes, boom, success. And something happened in between that moment when they left that room, and they came back the next day because my inbox was filled with angry messages from parents saying that they felt like their child was in trouble. And so suddenly we realized that, okay, there's clearly a disconnect between the school and the home. If the kids are participating in this, we're participating, but the parents aren't coming with us. There's clearly a need for us to refocus some efforts on building that partnership. So we kind of pulled a lot of our community together and said, okay, let's make it more of a strategic effort. So we started doing these parent academies, which were like informational series where parents would come and we'd tell them about AI, we'd teach them about social media, college counseling, all these different things. Getting them on campus. We would send more regular emails anytime their child would participate in a conflict resolution. Not something I ever thought I would have to do, but something that those parents needed. And then Layla, who I have deep respect for, came into my office one day. She said, I have a good idea. What do you think about a parent support group? I was like, yes, that is the missing piece. And so we kind of created it. We made a middle school parent support group. It was basically going to be a space for parents to connect, to share strategies with one another. And through this partnership, we actually have seen some pretty dynamic changes in our policy, but most importantly in the relationship with parents. And so today, what we're going to do is we're going to share this approach. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the successes and challenges. And we're going to give you some tips and tricks to how to do it yourself. And we're going to practice it as well. You guys have been here for 2 long days, so you get to talk about how you're doing. And so kind of prepare yourself for that as well. All right, with that, let's jump into it.
All right, so talking a little bit about the purpose of our parent support group. As Pat said, it was providing a space for parents to connect and support each other. And through sharing these difficult moments, getting to build empathy for each other, but also for each other's children. But we found that this model is addressing a different need than the information sessions or the communication efforts. Even after these communication efforts, we felt we needed to build trust with parents in order to continue to do the kind of work we wanted to do based in growth mindset and restorative practices. So the parent support group allowed us to have a different kind of conversation with the parents. It was more intimate, more vulnerable, less formal, and engaging in this way helped us to reframe our relationship with the parents as partners. So when the phone call was made either from us to home or from home to the school, we've already had conversations about their child. They already know our approach is one of support, and we can work together to make a plan. So we felt in our conversations, we wanted to anchor them in having a topic, and that it would be good for the topics to come from parents. So we sent out a survey asking parents what their concerns were and what they might like to talk about. And here are a few of the topics that we have held in our parent support group meetings. This would change from school to school. Structure was another thing that we felt would be very important. It would allow for us to have a consistency, a common language, and a feeling of safety in the group. But most importantly, it would help us focus on our purpose, which was to come together and share strategies and support each other. So every time we met, we would introduce the topic and give just a few-minute framework for understanding that took into account middle school child development. It could be the same in elementary or upper school. And we would review our purpose and the community agreements, which we will share with you later. So then we had 3 rounds. First, introducing yourself and something that is bringing you joy about your child, starting off on a really positive note. Then we would invite parents to share questions, challenges, or frustrations. And for that question, if we were in a larger group, if we had a pretty big turnout, we would break up into smaller groups. And then other parents would be able to respond with either strategies or validation of the experience. And then third, takeaways, what resonated, what you might be implementing as you went. And of course, ending with appreciation for the group and our community. I wanted to share that every time we met, there would be this, we'd be preparing for the support group, and there would be this moment of apprehension I would always have, knowing that no matter what we've prepared and what we think is going to happen, what we're anticipating, not everything's going to be in our control. And we really had to rely on our structure and our process to support us, and knowing that letting go of that control was actually not only important, that the hard moments were going to bring us the greatest results. That's what we found over time. And also that as facilitators, we needed to approach the conversation with humility, share our experience not just as educators, but as parents, and be open to learning and hearing from others. So by approaching the group in this way, I think we created a sense of shared kuleana, this idea that we were raising children together, parents and educators. So I'm going to pass this over to you.
So you're probably already starting to imagine what this might look like at your site. And sometimes it's helpful to kind of have a couple of examples. And so let me tell you a story. So our very first parent support group was about technology and social media. And it kicked off really great. Parents, I think we had like 10 parents show up, maybe 12 parents show up. They were sharing strategies. One of the parents talked about having their best friend was an attorney, and the attorney had drafted a contract that they gave to their child to sign prior to getting a cell phone. And then all the other parents are like, can I have a copy of that contract? And so it was great. It was like sharing this, like legally binding document, but also encouraging, showing them how serious you were about something as important as a cell phone. But then suddenly the tone of the meeting kind of changed really quickly during, almost like it went from a support group to like a Q&A or like a school board meeting, and suddenly they realized that here I am, administration is sitting at this table, and somebody was, that's, oh my gosh, cell phones, everybody's just looking at cell phones, it's the Wild West over at your school with cell phones and all this, and so they asked me this question, what are you doing about student access to social media? And so I know, my jaw dropped too. I was like, well, I didn't buy anybody a cell phone, and I don't control what apps they can and cannot download on their phone. That's not obviously I didn't go there, right? You don't go to a place of, okay, appreciate the feedback, and yeah, that's a really good point. And so we kind of wrapped it up, and we walked away from that it definitely took me a couple of minutes to calm down, but it sparked a larger conversation in our school. This conversation of, are we leading when it comes to allowing students access to cell phones during the school day? Now, cell phones, the reason they had cell phones at our school is because of COVID, right? Like somebody tests positive in their family, getting a text message from their mom saying, hey, I need you to come to the front desk. And it's also worth noting that because we're a small school, we were only closed for like a month and a half. And we were in person the rest of the time. And so one way to show compassion to our students and our families was like, okay, look, you can have your cell phone, we're gonna trust that you can use it responsibly. And then we came out of COVID, out of the pandemic, and they still had their phones in their hand. So this larger conversation, kind of started, and we had to step back, and we had to kind of reassess, and we talked to parents, and we talked to teachers, and it was pretty clear that there was overwhelming support to not have cell phones in the middle school. It's across the board by the adults. The kids might feel a different way. But we started kind of designing and introducing and rolling in this concept of cell phone free 2023 this year. And so, it definitely came with some rolling of eyes and some pushback. And I had heard that there was going to be like an organized cell phone walk-in or something like that on the first day of school. Didn't happen. But what did happen is that our students are more engaged in class. They're looking and talking and playing with each other. And there's a significant decrease in conflict, in drama, kind of across the board. And it happened overnight. And so for me, it's, in addition to that, it's also come with like an effort to communicate to parents, like, you can wait 3 years before you have to buy them a cell phone. You don't have to give in to the pressures of, Mom, everybody has a cell phone in the middle school. It's like, nope, you got 3 more years, buy yourself 3 more years to get to high school, and then you can get the pressure. So that's our first story.
Yeah, I'm just remembering in that group when every parent there said, oh, I thought everyone else was having a cell phone, but my kid was the only one, and everyone in the group was saying the same thing. So that communication with each other, I think, helped. Where are we? Okay, so we had a parent who was really struggling with her daughter. They had been previously very, very close, and she felt like she had lost her daughter to adolescence. She had lost her daughter to social media, and their relationship had become one that was just filled with fighting and emotional distance. So back to our structure, we picked a topic every month and then had 3 times thoughts for that topic. There would be a morning, an afternoon, and an evening Zoom session. So this parent would attend all 3. She's the only one who ever did that, but every month she would attend all 3 sessions and would often take over the conversation. And at first I was really worried. I thought maybe other parents would be annoyed or stop engaging, but actually it seemed to have the opposite effect. It was something she, started talking about her pain and her vulnerability, and it helped others to jump on board and have those harder conversations. In fact, she would frequently point to the benefit of having gone to all those groups and really hearing all the different parent experiences, feeling like she walked away with a greater understanding that parenting during adolescence is hard, not just for her, but for everyone. And so that she wasn't alone in that. So later when a behavioral issue came up with her daughter, we were able to rely on that relationship and work together to come up with a plan of support.
I remember she called me, and when that happened, something happened with her daughter, and actually I called her. And I remember that phone call, and it was such a change of tone because instead of answering the phone, kind of argumentative and defensive, the first phrase she said to me was, "What are we going to do about this?" And just the "what are we going to do?" Like the partnership had been established, and it was awesome. It was a huge shift for that parent. The next story, this concept of community from a distance. We have a parent at our school who is immunocompromised, which results in some pretty severe isolation. And this parent is one of those parents that came to every virtual session. So every time we had a Zoom, this parent was there. This parent's so isolated, in fact, that most of the time, anytime she hears about a cold spreading throughout our school, she'll then go isolate herself from her family. That's how immunocompromised she is. But she's also kind of like a dream participant. She's deeply researched in child development. She's not an educator, but she's got a lot of free time. And so she reads every book there is. And so she comes into these sessions, instead of us being the experts, this is the dream. The goal is parents sharing strategies with each other. And so she was, "Oh, have you read this book about attachment? It's written by this guy. Oh, you should really read. Oh, have you thought through this process, the love languages, and talk with your kid about that?" It's just really, really inspiring stuff. And so we loved having her. She was really, really great. And then in one of our last sessions, most recent sessions, she stuck around afterwards in the Zoom, and we just wanted to kind of debrief and, what have you gotten out of this? And she was just so truly grateful for the connection she was able to kind of have through this, because she couldn't come to the school barbecue. She couldn't come to the plays, to the sports, to anything. But this is one of the ways that she could talk with other parents and really feel like she was truly part of our community.
So we wanted to know what the parents said, and so we sent out another survey, and we received really positive feedback. Not only were parents trying out the strategies they'd learned from each other, but they were feeling supported in the process of parenting, and that simply listening and being heard really helped them to realize, again, they're not alone. Other parents were facing similar dilemmas, and that they're part of a school community who cares deeply about their child. So with that.
Okay, so today's the day you get to try it out. So we're gonna have a mini educator support group. Everybody in this room works with kids or cares about kids, so we all have something in common. And if there's any group of people who deserve support, it's us educators. Generally, I felt like a bit of inspiration during this conference because I kept hearing hey, SEL is important, SEL is important. And it's also important that adults get access to care as well. And so today what we're gonna do is, first I wanna recognize that you showed up and you probably didn't know you're gonna have to participate. And so thank you for being here. We're gonna look through some of these agreements. We're gonna get into small groups of 3 to 4, and we're gonna work through some of these. So here are the agreements that we had adopted, kind of created and adopted for our support groups. So first off is this concept of confidentiality. What we say here stays here. That everyone in this room, all of you as teachers, are different. You each have your own value and story. That we're gonna respect each other. We're gonna withhold judgment and throw sunshine, not shade. Speak from your own heart. So using I statements, and then obviously listening with your heart as well. And then sharing to your comfort level. Feel free to pass and protect yourself if needed. And just as a quick note, we also have a really simple PDF handout on our page for this event that has all of this information. It's kind of a cheat sheet, and you have access to these slides as well. Okay, great. So we're going to get into it. So our first round is going to be this.
Did you want to
Yeah.
divide up by
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Let's talk about it as a group. So one way we can do it is we had talked about it. If we want to do elementary, middle, and high school separating by your divisions, do you want to do administrators, or you want to just mix it up? Doesn't matter. What do you think? Hands up for mix it up. Doesn't matter. Okay. All right. Boom. We're gonna stay where we are. If you're sitting by yourself, we'll kind of group you up. So let's go. Here we go. Why don't these two tables join? You can come over. You're a 3. And then, sir, you can go with that group back there. All right. Yes.
Are administrators running these, or are teachers participating in these?
Do you mean the parent group?
Yes.
So it was the 2 of us, and so both of us, and I'm counselor, and he's an administrator, so we were in it together and partnering. Yeah. Does that
No,
help?
and I'm just going to say the only reason I'm asking
Yeah.
is that I applaud that. I think it's wonderful. I like the idea, but what I was hearing it through a filter of this is one more evening meeting I have to go
Yeah.
to. As a teacher.
Yeah, as a
But,
teacher,
you know,
yeah, sure.
so anyway, I just was curious about that.
Yeah.
We were, I mean, our Zoom meeting was the most popular, but I would say the second most would be that morning meeting. People who were just dropping off and could go a little bit later to work. I don't know if that's helpful, but I think time is really important.
I will tell you that I did think, oh, this is one more meeting that I have to go to, and that is part of it. Yeah.
I mean, we are looking at expanding parent communication, so that's why I came to listen
Awesome.
to what it looked like.
Cool. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. So again, keep in mind this is very close. This is almost identically reflecting the structure of what we did with our parents. But instead, today you're going to be talking about yourselves as educators. Parents talk about themselves as parents. So here's what we're going to do. Round 1. I think we got plenty of time. But introduce yourself. What's bringing you joy in your work and professional life? You have 3 minutes for everybody to get through this first round. And if you need it, you can have more time, but I'm a taskmaster. All right, here we go. Time starts now.
Both of those roles. I'm the department chair for well, we changed it to support and well-being. So it's like in this with this title, it's like our advisory program, our counseling in the academy, our learning support, and then we have human development courses. So it's kind of like a non-graded part of the high school experience. It's kind of the way I wrap my arms around it. And actually, that might be. So I'm working for 20 years. This is my 20th year. Yeah, I love it. It's I did not plan on being there for 20 years. My youngest graduated in 2013, and I originally was at the University of Hawaii, and so my plan was to go back to the University of Hawaii. I was having so much fun at Provo that I kind of didn't go back. So I would say what brings me joy in my work is I'm so lucky I work with people. They're amazing, brilliant, very teachers, and that's like always been my daily life. Like when I'm not teaching, and then when I am teaching, it's support. I wouldn't want to spend my day with like a great in general, but then also just like the grown-ups are amazing and the kids are just joyous and future oriented.
All right, just under a minute left. This minute? The whole Yeah, I think it's like Yeah. Okay, about 30 seconds. All right, that's going to be our time. Thank you for wrapping up your conversations. So I just want to make some quick observations of. Whoop, whoop. No, they're not done. I know. There's a lot of joy. I was telling Layla, she's like, should we circle? I was like, let's just observe. And like people are smiling, there's laughing, your faces have softened from when I'm talking into this microphone to when you're looking at each other. It's just really nice. You can feel the warm energy in the room. It's really great. So let's go on to the next question here. So in our second round, it's really around what are you challenged with right now? So this could be the crossroads of a decision or some sort of a dilemma that you're facing, again, in your professional life. You're an educator. But parents would be talking about their kids or their role as a parent. We've done this before where it is structured, where everybody takes a turn. It can also be more of an open conversation because sometimes hearing supportive comments of, yeah, that has happened to me before. So I'm going to leave it up to you as a group to kind of choose how you flow that. We've allotted 6 minutes to this conversation. We can always add more time. But again, the elementary school teacher in me is going to keep us on 6 minutes so we can all get out of here on time as well. So with that, 6 minutes, what is your challenge, crossroad, or dilemma? Here we go.
Because they're doing just fine.
Well, and it's interesting because like my school's so old, and maybe you wouldn't have a tradition. Like you don't have like history that new parents have built. That's what the new parents have. But you're designing it for yourselves. Oh my gosh, you're doing a good job, you guys. That is very inspiring. Our parents are feel like it. Yeah, parents get schooled by our older parents. It's like
That was intentional. Said that.
yeah, and if you don't, there's like a lot of parent peer pressure.
Real quick,
Well, and you could, I mean, do you know our admissions package? Doug Regas alumni. No way, Archibald is the vice president.
All math and one for the section.
For me, my challenge is different.
we're about halfway.
The way we talk about our school, it's like school, and there's all these stories in there. This one, the New Spring, which is like our phenomenal school. So the name of the school is New Spring. And that area is super fun. And then I hang out with the door, so I know the stories.
Sometimes they're
I hang out with our advancement books. So like, and they're great storytellers. So I know a lot of. And so when I think about like a couple things I've noticed last year, just plugging away and life was good and I was loving everything I was doing. And I had said to my school principal, I'm going to do this support units for 5 years. I was myself as a school teacher. And so I wanted to be an administrator forever. I'll do this project. So last year was my 5th year, but it was his first year. So I said, well, can you stay on for 1 more year? And I'm like, yeah, I'll stay on for 1 more year. And suddenly the clock started ticking. I was really able to move in after 1 more year. And then I started thinking, without really realizing it, that I wasn't really ready to go back and be a full-time teacher. So now I'm like, so my challenge is to figure out what's next. Like, I'm not, I can't see myself retiring. I'm not retiring, of course. But I'm not sure I love teaching. I hate it. Classes for me. So my principal's fantastic. There are so many things you can do, so just like take your time. But right now I'm trying to figure out, I don't want to spread myself so thinly. So I don't know, so I'm in this place of like, what's next? What's the right next? Is it even next? It's 20 years of privilege. So like, should I go do something at a lesser resource school? Like I've got all this experience now, maybe I should.
All right, 1 minute left. 1 minute.
Sorry, I took your time. Well, that's what I mean. Like, there's, I really like I've had so much good experience with going back and helping younger schools.
You're welcome. That's what I do. It is what. This is one of my
No, and I feel like that, like, that's the right thing. Like, I'm starting to think that's the right thing for our island is like, not that I'm any special person, but it's just like, I think, yeah, and it's like the metaphor of spring is like the spring calls you to work, and you do the work as hard as you can.
My parents sent me off. Me up and said,
You're ready. We release you. Thank you for your service. Now go do something that you want to do. And that's why I'm feeling in that stage. And I'm just not sure what it is. Maybe serendipity that we see together. Yeah. Oh yeah. For pen people. What's your challenge? Can we have 1 more minute?
Of course you can. 1 minute works for everybody? We'll say 1 minute? Okay, 1 minute. 1 more minute.
And I thought she should get a prolonged scholarship, sorry, but yeah, I know that must be heartbreaking too.
All right.
Yeah.
So much to talk about. So many challenges. So many dilemmas. We could be here all night. We got one more minute? Okay, sorry. Take your time. Keep going. Get into it.
That was just these.
I know we're gonna need the. We're gonna have to like set up a bartender in the corner if we're gonna go. Yeah. That's right. Oh, sorry, you got okay. We got thumbs up. You're good. You're good. All right.
Well, and then we all know it's speech tradition. It's like if you can get a kid to environment where they can thrive, whether it's our school or your school or even a different school, but it just has to be an environment where
Her off? She really needs this right now.
All right. Okay, let's come back together. You can always continue. You have one more round. So if you just want to hit pause 1 sec, you can finish this round in the third round. The general feeling I had just watching, body language again. We had some serious looks, a lot of nods. It felt like some of us needed to get that off our chest a little bit, just like we live with a lot of these challenges. And sometimes you're sharing with a colleague, but sometimes sharing with a stranger is really like cathartic almost. Our last round is what resonated with you. So what takeaways do you have? What did you hear? If it's nothing, that's fine too, but just take a second. What did you hear? What did you talk about today? 3 minutes, a shorter round. If you need to finish up, we can also give you more time too.
Something you might try or implement or walk away back to your school with.
All right.
Can I
Yes.
ask you a question? Is this what you did with your parent? Is this what you do with your parent meetings? You moderate it and then have them discuss?
Sometimes. Yeah. Yeah.
I had a follow on, like, because do you have the topics originally on the, when are those discussed?
That's in these sessions, yeah. So it like this question would be, what is your challenge, dilemma, or crossroad with social media and your child? What is your challenge, dilemma, or crossroad with?
Communicating with your child. What is going on with that?
So the topic is woven into the rounds.
That's right, yeah.
Got it.
And to answer your question on structure is sometimes when there's 10 people, the second grade teacher in me kicks in and I'm okay, everybody has a turn, we got to keep it moving, and right. And then sometimes, actually, honestly, like when it's just Layla, myself, and 2 other parents, it's really natural and just like a really warm conversation. It's really great. And sometimes those are the more meaningful, or like not more meaningful, but more, I don't know, you get more out of it. Parents really get more airtime. Yes? Did you want to?
Say it's one of these topics at a time.
That's right, yeah.
So you get to really go pretty deep.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, last round. Here we go. Oh, sorry. Yes.
So when you do it on Zoom, do you put them in breakout rooms?
Yeah, we've done that in bigger groups, and so we always, one of the other pieces we build into it is an RSVP through a Google form. So we know who's going to be there. And I'll jump into a quick anecdote. One time, I saw on the RSVP we had 10 people, and after 10 it kind of shuts off, right? So nobody else can sign up. And the moms of 2 girls who were beefing at our school signed up for the same session. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna be tough. What are we gonna do? And honestly, they brought in like the best versions of themselves, and the beef didn't come up at all. Instead, they just talked about their personal struggles with their daughters. And they walked away feeling so much better, and I never, like, it was email after email after email, like, what's going on with these, this girl, she's mean, she's bullying my daughter, and then they just stopped. And then the girls worked it out. And sometimes that's what they need, right? Just to learn that you're a human and we're all trying our best. Yeah, okay, let's keep it rolling. Last round, something that resonated with you, takeaways that you have. Here we go. Oh, scratch there. 3 minutes. All right, I'll press the timer. Go, 3 minutes.
Mine is quite sweet. That was rude, but anyway. I'm really glad I met people today. I feel like it was made me so proud to be a teacher listening to your talk about school text. And I sometimes don't think about this calling me. And so I just wanted to say thank you. Let me say Oh yeah, totally. And she's super generous. And it's just like the worst. I mean, nobody liked our old system, but we were all like, wait, you're doing this too? It was just really hard because we did it K-12, and so it's everything. Like it affected teachers and like it's our. Now I kind of can't remember what we had, but it was just like it wasn't just for the business office.
About halfway. 20 seconds.
Should I?
But, I mean, if you, we made some disastrous decisions in our process around that. So it's like, if you're like scared about being a black blood,
All right, we are at time. Someone, is that ours?
That's me.
That's our alarm? Okay. We are at time. There's a lot to talk about. So I just wanted to say, every time we go through this process, I'm so moved by the vulnerability and willingness of participants to share, and reminded how healing it is to be listened to in a shared space. And there's something magical for me about creating the space and watching the process unfold, seeing parents make connections with each other that then ripple out into the way they see each other outside of the group and in the community. Sometimes we'd have a small turnout, but it would feel like exactly who needed to be there were the people who were there. Parents whose kids were getting into it, or parents who have never met, but their children had something in common. So something about coming together in a shared space, learning about each other's struggles, allowed everyone to remember our shared purpose, which is to be there for the kids and to see the humanity in each other. And so it was just great to look around the room and see it happening yet again in front of my eyes. So let's talk about it a little bit.
Okay, so bringing it to your school. So how might this apply in your school setting? And if you're like me, anytime I hear a new idea, the first thing I think is, okay, well, how's this going to happen at my school? So what are the roadblocks? What are the speed bumps? What are the challenges that you anticipate? Or any questions? You're welcome. We're going to open it up, honestly, to anything at this point. Thoughts, questions? Yeah.
I just want to say what a nice way to end the conference.
Oh, good.
It's just, I made 2 friends.
We were just saying, it's possible that you meet 2 new friends right at the end of the conference and, exchange numbers. Maybe you meet at another support moment in your life, so go for it.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this rubric called Managing Complex Change?
No.
I think it's what you need to think about how to make it happen.
I think so. Can you post it on this page? Is that something you can do on the Whova app? There you go. There you go. You give it to Layla. Layla will share it on the page, and then everybody can have access to it.
7 things you need in
Okay.
order to make a new idea, a vision happen.
Awesome.
And it is not happening quiet. Thanks. In one graphic.
Yeah, share it to me.
Cool. Yeah.
Do you folks have any other way in your school, like, I mean, I'm sure you do, but then how to get parents involved in your school, like parental involvement? Because I can see this would help resolution, right? But what are other ways that you do?
First, let me admit right off the bat, in our division, middle school division, there's 100 students. I think probably 15 to 20% parent participation in this. So don't think for a second that 75% of our parent population are showing up. And if your education experience is like mine, the parents who you want to show up don't show up. Yeah, that's usually how it works. So, but all that being said, other strategies we use: regular communication. We actually created a director of communication. I've been working with her, choosing 3 areas to focus on, and just like regular communication about those 3 areas. Like really simplify it, streamline your communication with parents so that they see it again and again and again. And for us, it was restructuring our advisory, focusing on this concept, the Hawaiian value of kuleana, and then to be here now with us, which means put your cell phones away. And so those three focuses or foci are these things that we constantly echo again and again and again to parents. But it's
Community, sorry, PTSO and community events, Polinas, where we're gathering just to spend time with each other, as well as, yearly events like fall barbecue and things like that. Is that what you were?
No, that is like that.
Yeah.
So that you said you gather all together. Is that like a monthly thing or like?
The Polinas? How?
Like quarterly maybe?
Quarterly, and it's an open invitation, but it's not a it's just for fun.
If you want to come, you can.
Yeah, and there's been live music, and it's been fun. So.
Just honestly, I think during COVID, our parent organization really struggled with how do they get parents involved. And so they really turned to supporting teachers and our employees. So we just had a professional learning day where they brought food. I challenged them to turn and say, what are you doing for parents? Actually, rather than for the school and the school employees. So they're trying to figure out how do they then bring those volunteers back into
We have, we've struggled with low attendance at parent events too, and the one thing that brings them in is if their kids are performing.
Yeah, the student performance. Oh, yeah.
So, the only way I can get parent, that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
way, and I'm not walking out on you, I'm carpooling.
All good.
So,
And you know what I'm going to do is it's 4:10. You can't see the time, but I love ending on time. That's like one of my favorite things. So y'all, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to each other, and thank you for coming to the conference. Feel free to reach out if you'd like anything else. All of these materials are available on the app and the website, and handouts too if you'd like them. And that's it. We're ending on time, 4:10. That's how it's done. Boom.